of our pilgrimage was Amano Iwato Cave, the mythical hiding spot of Amaterasu. With that out of the way, hajimemashou! Here we are, moments before taking off from Kumamoto, optimistic but very unaware of the journey to come. For the first part of our pilgrimage, we walked from Kumamoto to Minamiyaso, our midpoint. The hike lasted a total of 8 hours and encompassed 35 kilometers. As for why we decided to walk it, I suppose we thought that, for one, it would be more interesting, and two, what's a pilgrimage without a little pain, a little silliness? Throughout the entire 8 hours, it rained, violently and constantly. After only about an hour on the road, I was thoroughly soaked, and my umbrella was not up to the task. Here is a brief demonstration of my struggles.
It's on. One more.
This lasted for the majority of the hike, and if you couldn't tell, was a blast dealing with. It's also worth noting here that my beloved companion found little trouble in finding pleasure in my pain and suffering.
We did it! We found the light at the end of the tunnel!
We arrived at our guest house in Minamiyasu sometime in the evening, and I believe that it is the most rural area that I've been to in Japan so far. After living in a very urban area and having experienced the likes of Osaka and Tokyo, seeing a place so small served me quite a shock. That evening, we decided to not walk the rest of the way to Takachiho, in fact, because we felt that if we did, we would be risking legitimate injury or any other bad happening. At the guest house, the owner Makino gave us meat, beer, and directed us to the barbecue, and indicated us to enjoy ourselves. Suffice it to say, that night we ate like kings and slept like babies. After resting for the night at the guest house, we were refreshed and our anxiety abated. However, fate decided to give us one more taste of dread. You see, Minamiyasu is a very small village, so there is only one highway bus that goes through it per day. Being very much aware of this, we arrived at the stop about half an hour before its arrival time. When we got there, though, we waited, and waited, and waited. The thought quickly occurred to us that, if the bus didn't come, we would be in for a world of suffering and or inconvenience. Our choices would have been to either walk the remaining distance, pay an exorbitant amount for a taxi, or mess up our plans by a whole day. Partially to steady myself, I reassured Rook to not lose faith in the system. Shortly after, thankfully, the bus arrived 15 minutes late, and we were on our way to Takachiho. Here, we went to Takachiho Shrine, which is noteworthy for being where an ancestor of Emperor Jimmu descended from heaven. According to the town stories, Emperor Jimmu was born in and started his eastward journey from Takachiho. This, combined with the cave myth, has led to Takachiho having a very potent connection with Shinto. It also contains a unique twist on the Amaterasu cave myth. In this interpretation, Ameno Uzume's dance in front of the cave wasn't quite enough. Amaterasu only cracked the cave door open to take a peep. Here, the local deity of Takachiho, Tajikaro, seized the opportunity to open the cave completely, by force. At Takachiho's shrine, we saw a kagura depicting the scene, and I will let it play a bit for you.
左もと投げそう伊勢の国山田があらに投げそうなんや
Near Takachiho, we lodged at a guest house in Iwato that we affectionately called the Cube. After we explored Takachiho a bit, we returned to Iwato to charge up for the following busy day. All we needed was some food, and we were set. However, we failed to consider the fact that Iwato is a fairly small community nestled in the mountains, so there are no convenience stores or any other shops or restaurants open after around 7 p.m. Just as we were about to give up on our food search, this store seemed to just materialize out of nowhere, providing us the much-needed windfall. Our luck struck once again. As we arrived at the main shrine precincts before the cave, I felt a bit anxious. Was it because I felt the journey reaching its conclusion? The cave itself was magical, and I could very clearly understand why this was chosen for such an important myth. Besides the gorge that it is nestled in, the cave really is a natural wonder in its own right. It wasn't raining that day, but excess water from the cliff sides causes an eternal mystical downpour. Thousands of rock stacks crowded the area, displaying how popular and significant this place is. Here's mine. The Kojiki states that this cave was located in the heavenly realm, and, in the moment, I could believe it. I felt that I had truly achieved something great. With that, our pilgrimage was complete. I will now talk a bit about an integral part of my pilgrimage, my companion, Rook. For starters, we went together to replicate a dynamic similar to that of Basho and Sora, with me being Sora and Rook being Basho. Over our journey, we shared experiences, discussed our thoughts, and bounced ideas off of each other. Sometimes, I find myself becoming too focused on what I'm doing, which can lead me to miss or not fully consider my surroundings. Regarding this, Rook often directed my attention to things that I would have otherwise missed or would have not put much thought into. They also made insightful comments about our situations that I found interesting and compelling. Besides that, traveling with others is much more enjoyable than doing so alone. In particular, it was much easier to get through tough situations when I had someone to laugh about it with. For example, getting absolutely drenched by rain or having my ankles in immense pain wouldn't have been so funny if not for my companion. Without my Basho, this pilgrimage would have lacked something vitally important. This journey has left several lasting impressions on me. Seeing Japan from an entirely different angle, on foot, and compared to Osaka or Tokyo at least, the middle of relative nowhere, has changed how I view the country and has made me reassess some of the views that I held. This also solidified the idea that travel is something that can really change who I am and shape me in various ways. The raw and natural beauty of the Aso volcano mountain range, Takachiho Gorge, the cave, and all of the lands in between made me truly feel shock, awe, and insignificance, in a good way. I have to admit, the pain of non-stop walking and the incessant rain made the experience better, in fact. For I will never forget the fatigue in my feet and the feeling of my pants constantly slapping against my legs. It makes for a very funny story, at least. Now, to conclude, I would like to give a little credit to my Basho, who posited the idea of this journey being very quest-like, and I wholeheartedly agree with that idea. Many of the environments and places that we came across would absolutely not be out of place in a fantasy setting. I mean, to be fair, we also went through several trials and tribulations, such as trekking through various terrains, constantly struggling against the weather, and being considerably fatigued. But overall, I would say that all of those hardships made the pilgrimage feel even more quest-like. In the moment, they felt like challenges to overcome, and they greatly contributed to the experience. The journey also left me with an object of great magical power, this amazing Magatama. The quest concluded at a place of unimaginable wonder and cultural significance. It is safe to say, without a doubt, that this pilgrimage has become one of my grand sagas, and that I have become thoroughly addicted to pilgrimage. As a bonus, we ended our Kyushu trip in Beppu, famous for its Jigoku Hell hot springs. I thought that it would be funny and maybe a little thematic that we would go from heaven to hell in 2 days' time.